Listen up.
What is up, sports bettors? Welcome back to the Dimer Sports Betting Podcast. It's Greg. Got Dave with me as always. Dave, how are you today, my friend?
I'm doing well, man. Glad to have you back. Glad to have the NBA back. I don't think it's a coincidence that we got you and the NBA back at the same time. No?
It's good. The universe knows that I need basketball in my heart and on my bet slip. So it's great to be back. I had a good trip to Mackey Arena, Purdue, Michigan this week. Wolverines are looking dominant as ever, and we have some Michigan discussion before their big game against Duke on Saturday later in the show. Before we get into everything in the show today, can we do a quick Olympic check-in? I haven't talked Olympics with you on this program or outside of it, so how are you enjoying the Winter Olympics right now?
It's been pretty fun. Obviously, hockey is the big one. When the hockey's on, you're basically getting all-star teams going head-to-head, so it's just been really fun. Bit of a cheat code betting on goal scorers, depending on who you get. I mean, some of these guys are so good, and you're getting really interesting odds on some pretty premier scorers in some games. We've had some guys cashing in some tickets in the Discord. I've come close a few times, got a couple of my own. But at the same time, I also will glance over at the TV while I'm working and see some events on that I'm just like, is this the Olympics or is this a parody? Like, is this interdimensional cable from Rick and Morty where it's some strange sports? Today I saw some guys going up the stairs on skis and then coming back down the hill on skis. And I was just, is this really an Olympic sport? I don't know. I don't mean to target the skiers, but it seems like there is a common thread with some of these ski adjacent events that I just sometimes am scratching my head at.
Yeah, I got to bite my tongue with Winter Olympics. There's a reason that I haven't had too much discussion on the Olympics with you. I am very confused about a lot of these sports. I was even thinking about it the other day. Someone was I was watching Traders, the show.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a couple figure skaters that are on the Traders. And at one point in the round table, one of their explanations was like, we didn't have normal lives growing up. We were, training to be Olympians. And it dawned on me that, like, how do you even become like an Olympic curler? Or like so many of these winter sport Olympics, like you don't get paid professionally for doing them for years growing up. Like to get to the point where you're that elite at it and also make money off of it makes very little sense to me, Dave.
Yeah, some of them do make sense. The pipeline of like track and field events. Yeah, you get good at track and field in high school, and then you become an Olympic pole vaulter. That makes obvious sense. I don't know where the curling begins. Maybe they have curling clubs. Maybe you just in Canada, the way that you basically are born able to skate. Maybe in some corners of the world, you're born able to sling that curling stone or broom the ice. But for one that is kind of on that periphery of like, is this really an Olympic sport? Curling has to be the most interesting and exciting to watch, I guess.
Yeah, it's enthralling to watch, especially given the stakes, but there's just so many backstory questions that I have with all of it. Anyways, I digress. I did enjoy the USA hockey match against Sweden. That was down to the wire. Some nerves there as USA tried to stay alive. And from a personal standpoint, Quinn Hughes, a guy that went to Michigan here in the state where I live, and Dylan Larkin, a Detroit Red Wing for years. And two of those guys coming in clutch in a big moment was good for my Olympic heart.
Yeah. Two Michigan guys getting the goals in that game. Very important goals as well. And I hope we're destined for the USA-Canada face-off. It should, in theory, be that, but you never know. The U.S. have struggled a little bit, so we'll see.
Yeah, one of those sort of pillar moments you're hoping for in every Olympics. You can circle the matchups that you want to see for the gold. Hopefully we do get it here very shortly. All right, on the rest of the show today, we will recap some wins from last episode. The NBA is back, and we have some ways to bet it tonight. NBA prop targets and best bets for Thursday night. I've got a quick college corner for you as well. It's a quiet Thursday night in college hoops, but there is a huge matchup looming between number 1 and number 3 on Saturday. We're going to break it down in depth. Let's start, though, with what you should have bet from last episode.
Should have bet that.
At this point, we should just have like a PlaySmart tennis clip where we're like, the tennis bets won again because another 5-1 parlay has cashed thanks to Dimers Pro.
Yep, another hat tip to my boss man, Nick Slade, who continues to churn out the great tennis articles. I feel like a broken record saying it, but once again, 3 edges straight from Dimers Pro, straight from the app. A whole lot more tennis to come between now and Roland Garros in May. So don't ignore the underutilized corner of the Dimers website. That is the tennis predictions. Honestly, I think outside of college sports, it's probably our largest offering in terms of volume for bets and predictions, just with the number of matches there are. So there's basically always something to be found on site for that. Obviously, as you get further through the tournaments, the number of edges dips off as the number of matches reduces. But seriously, there's pretty much always something on there to dig into. Obviously, futures when the Grand Slams get underway. There's another tennis parlay on site as of right now. If you're catching this show, even right after recording, the first leg will be underway at ATP Rio. So this is once again your reminder to be checking the Dimers website and the socials, jumping into the Dimers app, as I mentioned, where you can always find the tennis edges, of course, all the other sports as well. But once again, the tennis model continues to deliver, and we've got some good content coming your way pretty much all year long in that department.
Yes, sir. Tennis has just been a moneymaker for Dimers for a very long time, long before the show ever existed. And there's so much tennis to bet on every single day, 365 days a year. It really never goes away. It's a beautiful part about that sport. All right. Thank you for the reminder there. Shout out to Nick, by the way. Good to hear Slady getting some love on this program. And reminder, get Dimers, the app, in app form. It makes it easier than ever. We're always telling you about Dimers Pro. You can find all these projections in real time for yourself. Well, it's even easier now. In the app, you can get all this just with the swipe of a finger on your phone. Dave's got it right there. In fact, can you give us a little swipe through? Yeah, show us, Dave.
A little swipe in reverse. I always go the wrong direction when I'm holding this up. Yeah, but yeah, it's all up there. It's up. See, I can't go the right direction. My brain doesn't work like that. But it's all there. It took me 2 seconds to pull this up. Look at that. There's a tennis edge right there. Taylor Fritz money line. He's like minus 328, but we got an edge on him on the spread too. So check that out. Guess what? He's in the parlay. So there you go.
What else to tell you? It's like a Christopher Nolan plot. Everything is connected. And, you have like hand model hands, Dave. I think we might need to make this
really
segment. Yeah.
But why male models?
All right, let's move. We're gonna do NBA props next for Thursday. We have had some success with NBA this year as we've started to do more and more of it on this show. But before the All-Star break, if you go all the way back to last week, we did lead into the All-Star break with Bucks money line as a value play that cashed at 6-1. LeBron James triple-double was something that you shouted out right before the All-Star break, and he nailed his first of the season, the oldest player in the NBA to ever record a triple-double. So good to have some momentum, even though we had to watch the numerous all-star events that have lost all their meaning in the meantime. Well, we have a full slate back tonight, Dave. Let's get back to it.
Yeah, we do 10 games on the docket. We're going to go through a few of them as, primary marquee matchups, I suppose, that I've personally selected, looking at some of the Dimers model value as we go along with this kind of new look of the podcast. We'll maybe find some sort of thematic element to tie in games, or we'll just look at where the best angles are every night. That probably makes the most sense. So we'll look at the edges that the model has in those games. And then I've got a couple standalone prop angles to look at outside of these 3 matchups. And I'll probably end up saying it anyway, but for reference, if I'm mentioning a team's rankings against a stat like points, rebounds, or assists, it's over their last 15 games for a little bit more of a recent sample size. But let's pull up our predictions for the night in the NBA, and we'll jump right into what I have as the first matchup to look at, which is maybe ironically the latest matchup of the night. Nuggets versus Clippers. Bear with me here. My internet's being a little slow. We just changed providers the other day, and I think it's still coming up to speed here. Oh, there we go. All right. It probably just opened 5 tabs of mine anyway, but we'll get there. Okay, so we got Nuggets Clippers here. Like I said, latest game of the night. Probably should have saved it for the last look, but I don't care. You got the post-Harden Clippers here versus the banged-up Nuggets. Nuggets are missing Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson tonight, though Jokic is back and right back to his old tricks since he's returned. Clippers have started turning things around a little bit. 120 of their last 27 games, but they're still under 500. That's how bad they started this year. I think they're 6-21. It was something like that. They are 4-3 since trading James Harden. Not much of a turnaround compared to how they were before. They're actually better in their 15 games leading up to the trade deadline. So probably some growing pains as they adjust to the post-Harden era. Nuggets get a little money line edge here tonight, as you can see. 66.7% probability, 2.4% edge. That comes with a sweet spot signal from the Dimers model with a nice 6.4% ROI across 160 similar bets in this edge range this season. This probability has actually crept up a little bit. It was 64 and change last night, 65.3% this morning. So you're going a little bit higher here in favor of the Nuggets, but holding on to the edge, even though these odds have climbed up a bit. It was minus 70. Pretty juicy at the best price, admittedly. The model does have a slight lean to the Nuggets at minus 4.5. This has also climbed by about 1% since this morning. No edge here, but you are getting the lean of 51.2%. Double-digit wins for the Nuggets in both previous meetings this season. Personally, if I'm looking at this game on an island and not considering the other two, I'd probably just lean the spread, given the juiciness. But if you're taking into account the previous meetings, I think it looks even more appetizing. Like I said, double-digit wins in both of the previous meetings this year. If you want to tease it down to minus 3.5 at minus 120, minus 125, it's obviously more digestible as a spread. The model is projecting a 4-point win for the Nuggets in our average projected final score, so just slightly outside that 4.5. If you think the trend of double-digit wins continues, you could go the opposite direction. You only have to go out to 5.5 to get a plus money line on the spread. And the way that the Nuggets have played the Clippers so far this season, it certainly seems like a pretty good play. But overall, I do think this is going to be a Nuggets-dominated game. I don't personally have a problem with the spread, with our, projected final score being half a point off. The probabilities slightly over 50%, but I'd say how these teams are looking right now, I'd definitely be more on the Nuggets side of things rather than thinking that the Clippers are going to pull one out, I think.
Yeah, I have no problem just blindly betting Nuggets in this matchup with this success previously. Jokic, even with absences from other guys, he obviously can power you to a win completely single-handedly. I'm actually looking up right now, trying to dig up to what Jokic's record is in the game returning from the All-Star break, because I feel like so much of his story is he doesn't care about the All-Star weekend at all. And then some guys kind of have an all-star hangover effect. It wouldn't surprise me if Jokic has the opposite of okay, it's back to things that actually matter. Yeah. So I'm only 1 year into this, but they just destroyed the Hornets last year in the first game back from the All-Star, and Jokic was great. So give me 2 more minutes and I'll dig into this while you go into some prop angles.
Yeah, that's fun. I'd be curious now. Now I want to say Jokic had a 50 burger versus the Clippers earlier this season as well. So maybe there's something. He comes out just absolutely firing, which kind of might hit into one of these angles I'll talk about. But a couple prop angles anyway. So I'll pull up the projections here in a separate tab. I think that makes the most sense. Yeah. And we'll sort by threes here because that's one of the things we're going to talk about. So Clippers have been around the middle of the pack over their past 15 games. Defending the guards from beyond the arc. Nuggets happen to be the most accurate team from deep this season, just under 40%, 39.5% three-point percentage. Jamal Murray sits right in our top 10. What's this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th overall. Is that 8th? 9th overall? 2.9 threes. He's actually tipping just up. I think he was 2.6 last night. Hardaway Jr. just slightly under that, 2.8. He's up from 2.5 last night. Similar numbers for both of them this season, both in terms of accuracy and volume. Murray was a little colder before the break, had a few games with only 1 3 made, but with a lot of shots. Hardaway hit 3+ in 4 straight, and in 8 of his last 10 heading into the break, hit 4+ in 5 of those. So I think I'd lean the form with Hardaway, getting slightly better odds as well, though you're risking that, I guess, against the shorter minutes. He did hit 3 and 5 versus the Clippers this season compared to 4 and 1 for Murray. So small sample size of 2 games, but a little more consistency there for Hardaway. I think if I'm picking one, I would probably play him 3, 4, 5, maybe. And then if I want to touch Murray, I might just go higher, 5 and 6, and hope that he goes off. I don't like Murray feels like kind of he's going to either tank out and do nothing, or he's going to go well above, but 3, 4, probably not where I'm targeting Murray. I'm going to expect him to climb that ladder. He likes to shoot when he gets the opportunities. And I believe we've had some luck on him shooting threes earlier this season in other favorable matchups, like against the Jazz. And then one more angle tying right back into Jokic here. Sort by rebounds to pull him up. Triple-double, not really much to say here. I mean, he hit 4 straight heading into the break. We got him projected for 26, 12, and 9.9 assists, so just under. Not even just a 0.1 is nothing. You can get this, last I checked, was plus money at DraftKings at plus 106, minus odds pretty much everywhere else. So, a bit of a value play just when comparing the lines across the books. Clippers just traded their rebounds leader in Zubac, which we talked about last week when we talked about Kawhi Leonard, who ended up benefiting from that void to fill. And here it could possibly be Jokic, maybe really crashing the boards and going well up over this line. But we got him projected for a triple-double. If you can get it at plus money, seems like a really good play.
Yeah, I am in on all things Jokic. I do have the findings from my all-star return hypothesis here. Jokic in 7 first game back from All-Star weekend games. The Nuggets are 6-1. They've won 5 straight. Many of these have been in blowout fashion. The games that have been close have been against playoff teams, even on the road at like the Ja Morant Grizzlies a couple years ago. So, have generally fared very well. Have the Denver Nuggets in their first return from All-Star weekend. Probably shouldn't be a surprise given that Jokic and the Nuggets have been so good in general, but this has not been a scary, sleepy, hungover spot for them in history. And I think I side with the model tonight. Nuggets against the spread. Jokic triple-double is a go on my card.
Yeah, we'll reference this Nuggets in a bit if you want to play the money line. Featured it in an article last night, and I'll talk about that angle when we get to the other game that relates into it, which is momentarily. But yeah, pretty good. I'm definitely going to be on the Hardaway threes. I'll probably play 3, 4, 5. I'll look at 6+. I'll see if it's anything appealing to me odds-wise. And trends-wise, if he has even come close to that volume, I like to see a guy climb the ladder, but if there's certain rungs of that ladder he's never hit, I'm usually not going to go that far into it. All right, let's move into our next game here. What I would consider a marquee game of the slate, Knicks-Pistons. This game, let's see, is going to be between the number 1 and number 3 seeds in the East. Though I guess if you haven't really been paying attention to the NBA much this year, you might not realize the Pistons have a 6-game lead in that spot. They're very firmly entrenched as the top seed. Can't say enough about the turnaround for this franchise. I mean, frankly, one of the NBA's more iconic as well. So it's nice to see them kind of get out of the pit. Just 2 seasons removed from a 14-win year. They're only 4 wins behind last year's 44-win season, showing no signs of slowing down, really. Knicks-wise, team is hot, won 10 of 12 heading into the break. They're getting OG Anunoby back after he missed 4 games with a toe injury, while the Pistons tonight will be without Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart for suspension after last week's brawl. We'll say the Pistons are notably incredible as underdogs this year. They have won 9 of 10 outright when priced as dogs, an absolute cheat code if you've been betting on them. But I got to say that's probably pretty reliant on them being at full strength, which they won't be tonight. Pistons did win both of these meetings this season in 30-point blowouts. They had Stewart in those games. OG Anunoby missed the most recent one for the Knicks. So it's a different lineup for both teams tonight than it has been in the previous meetings this season. The spread has dropped a point from its best line. So if you are keen on the Knicks here, you're getting a better number than you did early on. But we do have another sweet spot money line play, just around 66%. Same edge range, so 6.4% ROI over 160 money line bets this season. Odds have shortened up just a little bit. These guys were at like minus 180 last night. Now they have minus 160. Still a little juicy for me to bet an outright money line personally. But, the model says there's value here. And if you are strictly an EV bettor, this looks like a pretty solid play. Knicks are a lot better at home this season, 21-7, fourth best winning percentage in the NBA. That addition at the trade deadline of Jose Alvarado should help immensely, especially with them trying to slow down Cade Cunningham tonight. Personally think the Knicks get this one done. And to call back to the Nuggets, I put this in an article I published last night that a Nuggets-Knicks money line parlay might be a nice little play tonight. You can get their juicy odds of minus 170, minus 180 down to plus 135, plus 140, depending on where you get each of them at. Both sweet spots, both over 65% probability from the model. Pretty solid play for a little plus money two-legger. You could even maybe get both on the spread. The model does lean in that way for them. You got a projected 5-point win here for the Knicks, so covering the original spread and the 3.5 here. I certainly like that tonight. I think they're going to bounce back. I think the Knicks get a little revenge here. I don't see them going 0-3 against the Pistons, who are banged up, who aren't going to phone it in the rest of the season, but with a nice little number 1 seed cushion, wouldn't be surprised to see them looking ahead in some spots, especially if the game, maybe gets out of hand a little early. We could possibly see the reverse of the other games and a 20, 30-point blowout at the hands of the Knicks tonight.
Yep. Yeah, I'll add a couple of quick Pistons thoughts. I agree spot-wise, especially Knicks hugely here. I think anytime you've got like 2 contender level teams and one gets the better of the other in the first couple meetings, I feel like that other team is kind of looking for the moment to pounce whenever you get a chance and you get their full attention. And given the Pistons are without multiple bigs in this game that I think are a huge part of the matchup. Karl Anthony Towns was terrible in one of the losses earlier this season. I think he had 6 points against the Pistons in the first loss. I just feel like you're going to get the Knicks' best punch, and they're probably the better team right now, at least without both Duren and Stewart in the lineup for Detroit. So as much as I love the underdog angle with my hometown Detroit Pistons, I think Cade Cunningham is going to get up for this one, of course. It's really just props for me in this game outside of leaning strongly to Knicks money line. I would look at Towns given the matchup, but the problem is Towns' lines are nuked, as you'd expect. The sports books are pretty smart with that. So, his lines are all 2 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist higher than we project him as. And I say we being the Dimers model. So there's not really much value there, even if you're trying to attack this dismantled Pistons front court. I do have one that's standing out to me as something that could be worth a look. We'll have to see what the projections say for him. But Tobias Harris in the one game without the 2 Pistons bigs was actually the guy who stepped up and had 12 rebounds in 31 minutes against Toronto. And at a quick look, Tobias's lines are not nuked. He's minus 114 for 6 rebounds. You could ladder him up to 10 rebounds at plus 750. He has a bunch of 6+ rebound games. He had 8+ rebounds in 2 of his last 8, even with Duren and Stewart in the lineup. I feel like he's probably going to be asked to play big minutes again, as great as Paul Reed is, and people love him off the bench typically. I don't know that Reed is necessarily just going to be this enforcer putting up huge lines. I think it's the other Piston staples that will have to step up. So I have Tobias rebounds, a small, maybe 1.5 unit max play staggered across a rebound ladder up to 10 rebounds tonight.
Yeah, I like that spot. They're going to need Harris. They're going to need Duncan Robinson, Oscar Thompson, all to step up tonight if they want to hang in this one. So he's probably seems like maybe the best beneficiary of that in terms of cashing in on the rebounds. We do have Paul Reed for 13 and 9. There is a different angle for him that I couldn't help but look at. Looks like one of them is gone. His steals now have an edge on Cade and Oscar Thompson for steals, though. But Paul Reed, we had an edge on him for over 1.5 blocks and then also 1.5 steals. Right now we have it for the blocks, 48.6%, projected 1.3 at plus 148. Just an interesting one for me because he's third on the depth chart at center with Duren and Stewart out, so he's should slide right up in here. His first start with them suspended going into the break saw him tally 4 blocks and 3 steals. So probably a outlier if more than anything, but with the model seeing an edge in those 2 markets when I was doing the research and then considering his role in that first start with both of those guys out, thought that was a little interesting to look at. Bet it cautiously. It's under a 50% probability, but it's a really good edge there if that is something you're looking at. And then looking at the rebounds matchup, Cade's an interesting one for me. Not a lot of significantly exploitable positional matchups here, which isn't really surprising. You have 2 of the better teams in the league. But if you get into kind of the nitty-gritty stuff, you see the Knicks are ranked actually 29th in the NBA versus guards grabbing boards over their last 15. Cade's been in triple-double range before. He's gotten them before. We've got him projected for 5.0. Doesn't super line up with the model for him to climb a rebounds ladder. Obviously, this runs counter to Greg's insights on Tobias Harris. But I think you could entertain maybe his double-double instead of boards that way. You get him at plus money, which he's, I mean, not automatic at doing so, but his assists usually carry him right up into that range. So if you bet his double-double, then maybe he doesn't turn in the assists. You get the boards. Maybe he gets the boards. He doesn't get the boards. He gets the assists. Kind of gives you an out in case he goes with his normal game and doesn't take advantage of the matchup. A triple-double is only plus 1,100. So there's upside there. It's not priced particularly long for somebody like that. He's not usually that short for a triple-double. 8+ rebounds at plus 330 might kind of be the best of both worlds. You get into longer odds without him needing to hit that 10. If you like maybe the more conservative play, I think a Cade double-double at basically even money. It was plus 100 on FanDuel last I looked, is probably a pretty solid play. It'll give you, a couple paths to hit that anyway.
Yeah. All right. Good shout. I like it. Let's turn next to Hawks and Sixers. What do you make of this matchup? Hawks have been one of my more disappointing franchises over the last 5 years, even leading up to this year. I really don't know what to do with this group.
I mean, you're not alone in that. They've been, kind of one of those teams in limbo. I mean, they had the first overall pick a couple years ago, but oftentimes they are in that we're bad, but not tanking like by November bad, but at the same time, they're a team in transition, I guess. Trae Young's gone now. They're kind of retooling around burgeoning superstar Jalen Johnson, and into this game out of the All-Star break, it's the closest game on the slate, both by the spread and the Dimers projections. So it could go either way tonight. Sixers host is minus 1.5 point favorites, 55.9% money line probability, 52.1% on the spread. Slight edge there, almost even money on the spread at minus 102. Very good price. Hawks are sitting right on the bubble of the play-in as the 10 seed, 5 games back of making the playoffs outright as the 6 seed. And coincidentally, that 6th seed is the 76ers. So a bit of an opportunity spot for them tonight. Obviously, it's only going to, if they win, only chip away 1 game. But as we get closer and closer to the postseason, now's the time to do it. You're going to have to do it at some point anyway. And if you, I don't know. So I'm kind of making the case for the Hawks a little bit here, but the model does like the Sixers on the money line. Another sweet spot. I think this is the same edge range. Yeah, 2.4%. So 6.4% ROI over this season. Minus 115 odds, a lot more palatable than both the Nuggets and the Nuggets and Knicks money line plays that we looked at with a similar ROI. So if you're applying that sweet spot to this, you're theoretically getting a better return here because of the odds. Doesn't always work out that way. The higher probability plays are obviously more likely to hit, but you're getting a much better price. If you're picking one money line play and you're going just off the price, obviously the Sixers are the better play there. But Teams are fairly evenly matched, at least defensively. Hawks rank 17th defensive rating. Sixers are 15th, pretty comparable there. I just personally don't really love the 76ers at less than full strength. Both these teams lost 3 of their last 4 headed into the break. Hawks lost 3 straight. So neither of these teams was entering the break in great form. Not totally sure what you're going to get from them coming out of the break. No Joel Embiid tonight for the Sixers. I'd go with the edge on the total. If I'm playing in this game, playing one line, it's 54.5%. So just under the 76ers money line probability, but it's the highest edge of the 3. You're getting minus 105. Banged up team for the Sixers might not be able to put up the points without Joel Embiid. And, the solid middling defensive teams. I don't know, just kind of a toss up here. But if I'm playing one of these edges, I play the under because of the value and because I don't know who's going to win this game, Sixers or the Hawks. It's kind of a toss up to me, and I don't want to pick a side if I can't.
Yeah, I think I'll kind of just go with the model and pick a side. I think I'm comfortable playing Sixers here. Largely just I think you've got a team, even if the Sixers aren't healthy and don't necessarily want to gun for it all right now. I don't think they've tried to be the 6th seed in the East, quite frankly. They're there, and they can't really blow their season up and tank any further. At least we know the Hawks are completely selling off of this core, and I think they care about Jalen Johnson's development. I think they care about Onyeka Okongwu's development. I think they've got some pieces that down the line matter to them. But the reality is post-break now, like, it's better for them to lose games. I don't think they care about being in the play-in. I think they want as good of draft collateral as possible, and that's sort of where we're at with this. So for me, I feel like the Sixers is like, they're just one of the spot bets. Anytime you can get a team that I feel like is firmly in the playoff picture around pick'em at home against a team that is not, I feel like it's the point in the season where you start to just situationally play those. But I share your concerns in terms of lack of availability from who's here. It's probably wiser to just turn directly to prop angles. And I mentioned him briefly, Jalen Johnson, but I'm kind of liking the Jalen Johnson market tonight in general, looking where these lines stand.
Yeah, I mean, we've got him projected right for a triple-double. Wrote up an article on the site yesterday in anticipation of today's slate, featuring him as one of the primary plays as a triple-double. He was plus 275. That is down to 215 on DraftKings, only plus 170 on FanDuel. So definitely a good play if you got that early. I still think it's a solid bet. 24 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists right here, but a pretty solid chop to the odds from his opening line. So if that's something you weigh heavily, then maybe stay away. But he's got 10 of them this season. Matchup is pretty solid against the Sixers, allowing the 4th most assists overall, 12th most boards. Jalen Johnson's only got 5 games under double-digit rebounds in his last 15. So the opportunity is there for both complementary stats. His assist line is 8.5. So even if you don't want the triple-double, we support his plus money at 10 plus assists. He went for 41, 14, and 7 last game versus the Sixers. So certainly upside, obviously, in points and rebounds compared to his last performance. But the model loves his assists tonight as well. Other guys to look at, I think this is kind of a toss-up here. I don't know who's going to be the beneficiary of this. Let me pull up just the Sixers projections here. But rebounds for the Sixers could be okay. So this has changed a little bit. Drummond may have lines up now. He did not have lines before. So this is going to kind of change some of my. This might change our little parlay thing we're doing in a little bit too here. I'll have to take a look at this. I don't think I'm going to change my mind too much here, but Sixers rebounds is a pretty good spot. Hawks are a bottom 3 team versus opponents when it comes to rebounding. Embiid is out. When I was doing the research for this, we did not have a clear 1-for-1 replacement in the projections. Kind of seeing that now with Andre Drummond, so it changes things a little bit. I don't know if he's got a lineup. Let me take a look real quick because that will kind of impact things here. I don't know what our projection is at all relative to his line. But I mean, if if he's going to start and get a good line, he's probably a good rebound target just based on the matchup alone. I'm
It's a nice
not
little
coming
behind
up.
the scenes look at how all of the prep work into this show goes. This is like real time reaction to when things are added to the projections.
Yeah, frankly, I'm surprised we haven't had to do this more often this season, given, almost 50 episodes into this thing. I don't see a line up for him, so our model's probably going off of, adjusted for incoming feed, but I'm searching for Drummond. He's not even up on DraftKings here. And these guys' lines, Adam Bona, Dominic Barlow, VJ Edgecombe, their lines haven't changed at all. So, okay, this isn't going to change my thoughts on it. But if you could find a line on Drummond, he might be worth playing for some plus money, or even just his over on rebounds. I even have in my notes that he's the guy you'd want to target, but doesn't have lines and isn't in the projected starting lineup. So I had maybe look for him live if he gets a couple rebounds early, or if you could find a rebounding line on him. But he would be the guy I'd be looking at if you could find a line on him. Unfortunately, that does not seem to be the case right now.
Interesting. All right. Well, keep an eye on Andre Drummond, obviously, if you're listening to this between now and tip off. But there's how the magic is made on this program. And the Dimers model sometimes jumps on things very quickly. And when guys are in and out of the lineup, you'll see names come in and out. And that's the beauty of Dimers Pro. 50% off, promo code podcast, by the way. Okay. You've got some other prop angles to look at for tonight as well. Paolo Banchero being one of them. And it is the matchup versus the worst team in the NBA. So is that the main reason we're looking at Paolo Banchero?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you think you can look at anyone on the Magic here. You have to look when these bad teams are in play. You also have the Wizards and Pacers out there. The Kings aren't the only one. But my preferred targets, the Pelicans, the Jazz, the Kings are the one in action tonight. Irrelevant of position, Kings ranked 9th versus opponent boards, 21st in assists, 28th in points and 3-point percentage. Got a pretty solid projection for Banchero at 22.7, 8.2, and 4.9. Assists have actually gone down just slightly. He was at 5.3 earlier. You had him for a double-double at plus 134. Pretty close there with the boards. Kings do defend forwards a little bit better than their average, though. Top 3-point shooter in this game is Suggs, 2.2 here projected, right alongside Desmond Bane. Anthony Black just slightly under. Not the most flashy spot, I guess, given the opponent, but or flashy projection rather, I should say. But you can get plus 130 for 3+, which he hit in 3 of 6 games in February so far. You could definitely do worse than targeting someone to hit threes against the Kings. I guess maybe the little problem here is picking which one of these 3 guys is going to do it. Could be 2 of them, could be none of them, could be all of them. Suggs and Desmond Bane are the highest. Suggs is their top shooter by volume. So I would probably just lean that instead of trying to maybe get a little cute with it. Less erratic of a shooter than Desmond Bane as well. And then another angle that I really like tonight, and I hope it doesn't come back to bite me that I say I really like it. It's because I got this filter on here. Is in Raptors Bulls. We look at quickly to get. Sorry. Where'd he go? Did he get ruled out? That would stink if he got ruled out.
Isaiah.
He's right. He's right there. What the hell? It was. Well, ignore me. I was down too many things. All right, Emmanuel quickly 2.7 3-point made projected. Kind of caught fire from 3-point range before the break, hitting 3+ in 5 straight. A couple standout performances, 4 threes in one game, 6 in another during that stretch. Smaller sample size of February, of course, but it was his most efficient month shooting from deep this season. He returns from the break with a favorable matchup against the Chicago Bulls, who rank as the league's worst 3-point defense over their last 15, 40.7% 3-point shooting percentage. Model projects him, like I said, 2.7 made threes. While a little conservative, it is the highest projection for a Raptor in this game, only 0.1 behind Anthony Simons for the highest in the whole game. And remember, we're not going to see a player jump 3, 4, 5 spots over his line by the model because of a good matchup. We have to find that spot. Projections are averages. So this means there are plenty of games where he's hitting above and beyond, and obviously some where he's going under, but we're betting on one of those more positive simulations coming to pass. His 3+3s has chopped down a little bit. It was nearly even money earlier today. Saw it as long as -130 coming into this. So it definitely looks like a good spot. The odds are moving, unfortunately, against it. But if you want to look at the ladder, you can get options of 4+, +220, 5+, +550, 6+, 11-1, which lines up pretty well with his form, at least going into the All-Star break. Like I said, if there's one guy I really like tonight, I think it's him. I just can't ignore like the worst 3-point shooting defense in the league, and the Bulls have just not really had much of anything going defensively the last several weeks. So that's a spot for me.
I love the spot. Yeah, everybody's been making threes against the Bulls for like weeks leading up to this, if not the entire season. And as you mentioned, quickly has really not missed in weeks leading up to the All-Star break. Add those two things together. I like your point on just projections and how the model works too, right? Highest projection in this game. Sometimes, it depends on personnel. If you don't have a player in a game that's averaging like 5 threes a game, like some of the prolific shooters, sometimes it's going to look like there's no value here. But in reality, if you're relative to all the other players in the game as the highest projected 3-point maker, sometimes that can be some hidden value, if that makes sense. So good angle. I like that shout. Ladder up to 6+ threes and 11-1 is appealing to me. And then we're going to unveil something new here, which is a live NBA parlay build together on the fly. We'll each take turns picking a leg from anywhere on the Dimers NBA tools. You've got 2 legs. I've got 2 legs. Add it together, and we'll take a little lotto parlay shot here. What do you want to start with?
Yeah, so I was just thinking about it over this past couple of minutes. I'm not going to pivot from my original play. I'm going to stick with my gut. I know if I pivot, it will hit, and then I'll be like, of course, because I have already created the alternate timeline where it hits by putting the bet in my bet slip. So we're going to ride with it. Your initial projection was solid. I'm not going to shy away from it for a guy, Andre Drummond, who I can't even find a line on the books to dissuade me further. So while his projection has gone up, I'm going to stick with who I like, and it's going to be Dominic Barlow here, who would have been more prominently shouted out in that segment of Sixers rebounds if I wasn't distracted by Drummond's larger projection. But over 5.5 rebounds, going to play the matchup alongside our projection, which was 6.5. It's 5.9, so still over. He's not played in many games without Embiid against bottom-ranked teams for rebounds, so I'm kind of banking on that he filters a couple more boards his way in a matchup that he hasn't typically been able to exploit due to just the circumstances of when Embiid plays and when he doesn't. If we get burned by Drummond, so be it. We'll be back next week with another one, but I am going to start with Dominic Barlow, 6+ rebounds for my first leg.
Okay. All right. Good pick. I like it. For me, I am going to go to the Boston Celtics, where we have Peyton Pritchard over 5.5 assists against the Golden State Warriors. The Dimers projection is 5.8 assists. It actually just bumped up from 5.7 to 5.8 in the time that we have been recording this. I love to see that. We had him at a 5% edge at plus money here, plus 118 to go over 5.5 assists. This is a simple trend bet for me. Pritchard has been smashing this number leading into the All-Star break. 4 of his last 5 games leading into the break, he finished with 7 or more assists. He had some huge games, including 26-8 against the Bulls in his final game before the break. He had 27-7 against Houston, 26-7 against Dallas. All these like big market type teams. I do think Peyton Pritchard is a guy that gets up for kind of the brand name opponents that he gets to play. Against Golden State, I think they would qualify plus money over 5.5 assists. Let's rock.
Sweet. Sounds good, Greg. I love it. I'll go right into my leg, which, why even drift from what I was just talking about? I'm going to stick with Emmanuel quickly. 3+ threes. We got him 2.7. Talked about the matchup. Love the ladder as a personal play. Bulls stink defensively from beyond the arc, particularly. Only excuse for not hitting this would be some rust coming out of the break or, just an insane blowout and he's just not shooting. But he should have his shots. He should drain them. give me quickly 3+3s.
All right, I will see your edition of someone we've talked about at length with my own edition of someone we've talked about at length. It's Jalen Johnson. Let's get him in here. Over 8.5 assists is my favorite way to play him tonight. We project him to smash this at 10 assists tonight. 58% probability, one of the higher probability props available tonight on the Thursday night card. He had 12 assists the last time he played Philly in December. He has hit 9 or more assists in 4 of his 5 games leading into the All-Star break. This one seems about as straightforward as it can get. I don't think Atlanta has much to play for other than Jalen Johnson's development, which means the ball will be in his hands a ton. And we get some great news here. When you add these 4 props together, you get the very alliterative 1, 2, 3, 4 right in order. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I did kind of ruin that by putting a boost on here and getting it at plus 1543. But it's actually 1235. It creeped up too. But yes, there's a nice, fun little thematic 1 leg, 2 leg, 3 leg, 4 leg, go fish, red fish, blue fish, one fish, blue fish. So very good. That was fun, Greg. I'm looking forward to this one. Hopefully we cash on this one with a first little squad ride of the post NFL world on the Dimers podcast. Whether we hit this or not, we'll be doing some more segments like this where we kind of take our turns. We had a lot of fun doing the draft in the Super Bowl, so we're going to kind of spin out of it into some similar segments.
How dare you get us better odds on our parlay, Dave? All right. Thank you, sir. Dimers Pro, 50% off with promo code podcast. Make sure you get it so that you can do all your own prop navigation in the NBA world, the same way you just watched Dave and I do it for the last 20 minutes. Hey, before we wrap the show today, I do want to do a quick, altered version of the college corner. Typically, I like to come on here with 3 plays for the next slate that is up in college hoops. However, Thursday is pretty barren this week. There are a bunch of games still in the best bets page, props, player projections, all of that. It's just not the sexiest brand name. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't matter. Dimers Pro is beautiful for that. If you're a college hoops bettor, you can find a ton to bet on still, even on a slate where even the casual college basketball fan would tell you there's not much to look at tonight. But for the sake of me looking like a casual live on our podcast right now, we're going to look ahead to what I think is the biggest matchup of the regular season on Saturday. So I'm going to ask you to just pull up the projections hub here. There is no formal best bet here that shows value, but we are just going to take a look at sort of the game hub on dimers.com for Michigan against Duke on Saturday night. This game is being played in Washington, D.C. It's one of those big marquee neutral site non-conference games that they schedule in the preseason, not knowing how good either of these teams are going to be. Well, it turns out they might be the 2 best teams in the country. Duke is 3rd in the AP poll, but I think they were surprised to find out they weren't 2nd when the new poll came out on Monday. Michigan is number 1, looking every bit the team to beat in college hoops. And sometimes with these late season bouts, you can kind of wonder what the motivation will be. However, this Michigan team embraces sort of being the villain and getting up for these big games. They won the Players Era Festival. They just went to Mackey Arena on Tuesday and passed that test with flying colors. They are a big game team. And I think they're looking at this Duke game as one more opportunity to cement their resume as the team to beat. While on the flip side, Duke's probably a little bit bored in ACC play. And we saw a year ago, Duke beat Illinois by 40 points in this exact same spot in late February. You're going to see both these teams really gun for a marquee victory. College game day will be in attendance. There's all my reasons to pay attention to it. But at a quick glance here, the Dimers model is showing just ever so slight lean toward the Duke side at the current number. This game opened at Duke plus 3.5. We give that a 57% probability of being the correct side. However, as you can see with the money line, Michigan is projected to win this game with a 59% chance of doing so. So you really, whichever side you want to be on in this game, I think you can talk yourself into a way to bet it that makes sense probability wise. Do you have any thoughts just looking at this situationally, Dave?
Middle.
Find the middle?
The middle. Yeah, 57% to cover for Duke, 59% for Michigan to win. That's almost the same thing. That's a sweet spot right there.
Yeah, Dave is Mr. Middle. You always find a way to get those on our cards. And I don't hate the look here whatsoever. But if you go to the total for just a minute, there is a probability favored side of the total here. 55% chance of the over at 149. I will say I lean to the over in this game. I expect a lot of points to be scored. Michigan's offense seems unstoppable at times, as evidenced by just their dominant performance in Mackey earlier this week, 91 points against the Boilermakers. But Michigan plays so fast, they force the issue. You have to play to keep up with it. I think that Duke, with Cam Boozer, what they're going to try and do in this game is get to the free throw line. And Michigan really can withstand some foul trouble with so much depth in their front line. I don't think they're going to mind putting Cam Boozer on the line in this game. So give me the over. I lean with the model there, 55% chance at over 149. But personal here, I do think this Michigan team is just a cut above the entire rest of the country, Duke included. They've clearly shown that they get up for their biggest games. And I don't know that you could come up with a more nightmarish matchup for Cameron Boozer. He's going to win National Player of the Year. He's like, I think minus 2,000 to win that award at this point. But when you look at Michigan's front line, 7'3" Adai Mara, 6'11" Merez Johnson. They've got Yaxel Lendeborg, who is as big as Cameron Boozer, playing the 3 most games alongside those guys. You don't get anything easy inside against the number 1 defense in the sport. I think Michigan's guards will probably be the difference. They're better than Duke's. But I think Cam Boozer has his work cut out for him in this game as well. So lean Michigan to win for me personally. The model does agree just on the money line. Michigan is the likely favorite here. Model does show Duke plus 3.5 may be the smart side. But the total 149 is my personal favorite way to play this game with the over.
Love it, Craig. Thank you for the insight. And just a friendly reminder, obviously this game is on Saturday, so you got 2 days of model projections that will update in real time with anything that may change. Don't know if the projections for players are up yet, but if this is a game Greg likes the over in, probably a good time to put the projections hub to work, because if guys are going over, or if the game's going over, guys are going to hit their lines. So probably a good spot to look as well, as you could probably find some sneaky little angles there. Great. Good little college corner.
Yeah, you'll see a bunch of props come out likely Friday afternoon into the evening. So good shout. Keep an eye there and use the projections hub to your benefit. All right, sir, that is it for this show. However, before we get out of here, we've got a couple quick things to highlight, beginning with another Dimers Pro Champ of the Week. And it's another repeat shout out. Shout out to Nino.
It is, once again, it feels like we're getting back to the same guys. They're finding a rhythm. They're getting hot. And our guy Nino, who we called out previously, I'm trying to remember what the play was. I am ashamed that I don't remember. I should have looked it up for reference, but it wasn't that long ago, just a couple of weeks ago. And now they're back in here, turning $20 into 1K on some Olympic goal scorers here, up 1.2 actually. Martin Nikas, Nick Olsson in Denmark, Czechia, and then Zibanejad and Nylander in Latvia, Sweden. I was glad somebody hit on this day, because I had a 4-legger with Nikas and Olsson, and I completely missed the 2 in the second game. So I'm happier that somebody else was able to capitalize on this. The Discord's been having tons of fun with the Olympics. I mentioned on the last show, they're killing it with hockey. We had Jay Solstice make his appearance once again with parlays that he was sharing with everybody in the Discord. So while the NHL is on break, they're feeding each other in the Discord, and it's worked out really well. So great work, Nino, for once again, another appearance as our champ of the week.
Great job, Nino. Congratulations. All right, Dave, let's wrap with this. What else is on Dimers this week?
Now, as you know, the NBA is back tonight, and for every subsequent night until the playoffs, MLS season kicks off on Saturday. I'm personally not a big soccer head. However, we've got a lot of insights on the website for you. Models loaded with best bets, futures, correct scores for every match. So plenty of opportunities for those who do get down with the MLS or are just looking for a valuable betting opportunity. NHL is back next week following a really good Olympics. Hopefully we'll be celebrating a Team USA gold as well. But we can't wait to get back into that and get some of that on this show. Probably do some hockey round robins and stuff like that. I love the goal scorer round robins, goal scorer plays, all of it. And as always, golf updating daily. though we've already got a delay within 3 hours of things teeing off at Genesis. So going to be a funky one. Might be kind of tough to use the model live. Good chance they don't finish today. And we see like a mega round tomorrow of like, 20 to 30 holes for guys, depending on where they finish. I don't know. It's going to be crazy, but we'll get there. And hopefully at least come Sunday. If we don't have our pre-tournament guys in play, we'll have a value play to play.
Sign me up for a big sloppy 27-hole mess on Friday for the Genesis. I'm for it. All right. Thank you, Dave. Great episode this week again. And hopefully this gives you a good sense of what the show will look like as we turn away from NFL season. Lots of NBA coverage for you. And we'll do our best to highlight all the other great sports the Dimers brings value to the table for each week. Thank you for listening. We will be back next week. Gamble responsibly, everybody. Good luck this weekend. And we'll see you then.